to Portman Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends. Stephen Parry's got me. Everyone's twerking. To send me over the edge. Right, welcome in, guys. It's Monday evening, talking 10 extra time. Just when you think the season's over and done with and there's nothing to talk about, there's loads to talk about. There's so much that if you blink, you might find yourself out of the loop. And I'm so delighted that you were all with us this Monday evening. We will, of course, be having you live on the show if you should so want to discuss today is, of course, Jim Magilton Day, if you like. It was on this day, 17th of May 2000, where we beat Bolton in the playoff semi-final at Portman Road. What are your stories of that night? Were you there? Were you not? Love to hear from as many of you as you possibly can. That'll be on towards the back end of the show. We'll close out on a happy-go-lucky memory and hopefully something the club put out earlier. But first of all, we've got about 1,800 transfer tales to get through. We've got the semi-final of the worst transfer fee under Marcus Evans. So much and all in between. Right, we've got Anthony Steele. Welcome in, my man. I hope you're well. Roy Clark, under 23, is down 4-0 at half-time. They weren't doing too good when I checked on them. Couple of sloppy goals. Colin's in the room. Welcome in, Colin. Mark Rattle. Welcome in, Michael Finch. Nathan King. I love to see all of you. Emerson with an absolutely fantastic Monday message. Evening all. That's money out of the way. Time to look forward. Crunchers here. Announce bar. If it's not true, don't say it. Don't break my heart. My achy breaky heart. Right. We are joined hopefully by Peter Cox, but he keeps coming, he keeps going, and he needs to make the lower staffed hamster just pedal a little bit faster, I think. Luke Hume, welcome in. He has put FM down for this. Love it. Lee Brown, good evening. And Jason Clayton, think we should be looking abroad for young talent and bringing them into the academy like Liverpool under 18s. Well, first, let's bring in our first contributor. She's a wonderful lady. She is no filter Yorkshire V, making her third appearance for an intro. Here she is. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you. We were discussing off air that it's silly season. You blink and you miss about 400 stories, right?
You do, but that's all it is at the minute is stories. Until anything's confirmed, I'm not really.
Oh,
I don't
well,
take
come
too
on.
much notice.
We got well. That's a bit sad because we're here to discuss it. So we're going to take as much notice as we want tonight. We're going to pull it apart because a couple of it is actually quite interesting, and a couple of the language you used in some of the transfer stories is again quite interesting. Not often do you read the words "town leading the pack," "town leading the chase." I don't. If there's normally a chase, we're normally last in it. Have you got any eyes on the championship playoff semi-finals tonight, Vicky? Or are you just, I can't even be looking that high up the ladder yet.
I did watch it. Yeah.
Did you?
It was decent. It was all right. I mean, to be fair, watching sort of two teams that you have no interest in is kind of like choosing between Jimmy Savile and the McCanns to babysit your kids.
Good God, where's my button? Where is my button? Fucking hell, we're only 6 minutes in, girl. Views are their own and not of the network. We must stress this in every single possible way. I expect this from Mike Brown. I don't expect it from somebody such as yourself, Victoria. But Michael Finch, Brentford striker, Mr. Sitter. I am keeping an eye on the Barnsley game. Obviously, Yorkshire team, but we've got a viewer, Dan Whitty, who's a Barnsley fan, so keeping one eye out for that. If you had to pick a winner out of Bournemouth, Brentford, Barnsley, and Swansea, who would be the chosen one for you?
Got to go with Barnsley, haven't I? Because it's a Yorkshire team.
Yeah.
Not that I particularly like them, and it'll be fun seeing them getting stuffed next season, won't it?
Or beating Leeds. One of the two. I just, Dan Whitty's a viewer of ours. He's a Barnsley fan. I want him to do really well. I don't want him to win the bloody thing. Barnsley in the Premier League before we are again. No.
Brentford, we'll soon be there.
We will if they put Bart back in goal. Emerson, Brentford for me. Colin, Bournemouth for Colin. How about League One plus before I bring in Coxie? We've got Oxford, Blackpool, Lincoln and Sunderland. Who do you not want to play next year?
Sunderland, I think.
With their money. They have a lot of money next year, won't they?
And they didn't do so bad this season. I know they're only in the playoffs, but they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, in a league that was average, they were reasonably good.
Yes, and you'd have to think they're very similar to us with their takeover. So you want them in somebody else's league trying to get better players than what maybe competing at this level.
Yeah.
D, Barnsley briefcase carrier bag. Blackpool, says James Elmer. Jason Clayton, Barnsley fans booing the ref. Miss those days. Yes, I have as well. Jacob Farry says Sunderland. Mike says Vic's wearing black in mourning for loss of Chambers. Yeah,
definitely.
Luke Hume. I'd like Oxford to go up as my manager as a fan. I thought he was a Watford fan, Luke. David Long, Sunderland can go, please. Right, we have got joining us and our third and final member of the team. He has an intro. Stop me again. I'll cut you up. Jacobs off, San. How you doing, Bricktop?
Good evening. A bit of a quick relocation due to the bounce back ability we had earlier on. Vicky was asking me one question, and I was answering the question before. So yes.
Hence my shocked face there, because not only did you answer me, you answered me fairly quickly, probably before I even finished answering the question. So now you're ahead of us, Peter. But it's good to have you here. How are you? How's your weekend been?
The weekend's been all right. Obviously, it sucks a bit because we've got no football at the minute, but that's what we have to put up with in the summer until the Euros get going, and we have the disappointment of that. So,
well, yes, and we'll be here every kick, every step, every heartbreak, every beer thrown in the air. None of my beer though, because that's just a wasteful thing. Colin kicks us off with a nice, easy question for us. How many points will Norwich City get next year? 38 to play for minimum. Well. They can't be, can they? Because they can't get points off themselves. Although if Norwich could, they probably would. Let's be honest. What do you think?
I'm going to go for nil point.
Oh, that would be That'd be lovely. Can we get a minus figure just for like in fielding an eligible player or something silly like that?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great? Coxie, how about yourself?
I'd dearly love to say I've got a horrible feeling they're going to they're not going to get into the Champions League places. I've got a horrible feeling that they're going to do reasonably all right. Not because I live across here in the budgie side of the border, but yeah, I think they're going to be a bit more well prepared this season.
Champions League places?
No, they're not going to get in the Champions League places.
I didn't know that was even a possibility, Coxie. What have you been drinking up there? What have you been talking about? But that's on the hoof, that is. That is on the hoof, right? Champions League. Don't be making.
No, never.
Can you imagine it? Callie, they'll get 25 points and do a parade. Colin says 30. Roy Clark says 48. Parry says we are in their heads. Oh, we're always in their heads.
We're always in their heads, yeah.
Mark Dowling, who do you think will knock England out of the Euros this time? Are Ireland in it this year?
No, I think Scotland are, aren't they?
Yes, they are in it. Pukey, championship player at best, says Mike D. Talking of a championship player, Andre Dezelle could well be a championship player next season. Brentford are one of a number of teams reportedly interested in the player. Let me see. Blackburn, QPR, Brentford, I think I saw as well. Andre. That led to some, Vicky, saying if they want him, there must be a player in there. Why are we wanting to get rid? Where are you on the Andre transfer speculation?
He can go for me.
No.
Didn't rate him at all. I do think he'll probably do better in a team that have got decent players around him. And that's what happens, isn't it? You know, you get a decent player, an all right player, and it depends on the team around him. Unfortunately, we had no team to help him this season. So he did have a chance to make a name for himself, though, this season, didn't he? Cockwombling buffoon wasn't the name we were going for, really.
No.
You know, but there we go. He can go. Bye-bye.
Oh, Victoria, you got that's beautiful language. Your way with words is just brilliant.
Such a wordsmith.
Wow. Coxie, Jacob's saying, see you. Luke Hume saying he'll pay his Uber. Michael saying he'll take him there himself. Vicky obviously is saying, yeah, bye. Are you still here? What about you, Bricktop?
I'm in the same camp as my Talking Town tag team partner, Callie. You know, I think there's a play. I think it's a shame. I think he could be a player for us. Whether it is, as Vic said, whether it's because he didn't have the players around him, we never know. But will he have the players around him at QPR? I doubt that very much.
I would doubt that. But do you subscribe to the viewpoint, Coxie, that if they want him, there must be a decent player in there, or are you still saying, a bit like me, really? They can afford to stockpile a young player on the fairly cheap because they're in a higher division than we are, and Brentford could be in the Premier League this time next month.
I thought it was QPR.
It was QPR, Blackburn, and Brentford. I read.
Oh right, there's others. I only knew about QPR, so Blackburn and Brentford. I mean, you know, if Brentford do go up in the playoffs, that you said that will be a stockpile and a possible talent there with Andre Dezelle, but yeah, they can afford that. I mean,
they'll get him for cheap, won't they?
Yeah,
you know, reasonably cheap player that potentially could have something, and if he doesn't perform, then they haven't wasted millions.
Yeah, that's probably the truth of it. You're not going to look for a massive fee. Mike D, if Dezelle hustled and harried, I reckon the fans would look at him differently. Lee says he's more suited to the Championship than League One. Talking of the Championship, Coxie, this time kick us off. Sonny Bradley was mentioned this weekend. Town leading the chase for Luton, 29-year-old centre-half Sonny Bradley, who's out of contract. I called it a coup on the Sunday morning. What do you think of it?
Well, to be fair, I hadn't even. It's not a name of a player who actually comes to mind, but I've done a bit of research on him. He's 6'5", so he's a big old unit. He is Luton captain, so you would think that he would had been the mindset that he will, be Chamber's replacement as our skipper, perhaps.
Yeah, 29, bang in his prime.
Yeah,
Becky.
prime. Yeah.
Played last couple of years in the Championship, been a really consistent, solid performer for Luton. Is it a statement of intent if this is a player that we're going to see over the summer?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know an awful lot about him, but from what I've heard, is decent. So
Mhm.
I think it would be a really good coup if we could get him. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly on a free transfer, it'll be.
Yeah.
I think you've got a good shout there, Coxie, about captain material. I think he's
Yeah.
I think that would work. Absolutely. Colin Connolly then. Another captain material one, Vicky. Yeah, I know you're a big fan of Callum. I know you've been following his career for a number of minutes.
Years.
Years. As late as 5:05 this afternoon. What do you make of the transfer rumor? Another free transfer. This time, it was at Fleetwood last year. Might have been on loan. Could have been a permanent. Ex-Everton. Has been here before. Of course, under Mick, I think. Welcome him back.
I don't know. It's Fleetwood Town, isn't it? You know, it's not Arsenal or Liverpool, is it? We're getting him from Fleetwood Town. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest.
I'm not sure. Okay. Interesting. What, Coxie? What about yourself? Where are you on the Callum Connolly situation?
Well, I do think he's actually still officially an Everton player. I think he was on loan at Fleetwood. Yeah, I mean, he done all right for us. I can't. There's only one game that sort of sticks out in my mind when we sort of thrashed Reading away. I think that was probably his best game. I think he scored the last goal where we sort of wiped Reading off the pitch that day. I mean, that's probably the last time we ever done that to a team, probably. But yeah, I mean, would he play right back? Would he be the one in front of KVY? If he's got the KVY, he's going to be a bit dodgy for us. Injury-wise, I don't know. I can't see him being signed as a centre-back if we're going for...
Well, he can play centre-back, holding midfield and right-back. I wouldn't play him right-back. I still get nightmares over him trying to stop that cross against Wednesday when Nuhue put it in at the last minute. I think if he was going to come here, I think he'd be played in front of the back too. The question for me becomes, is he better than Flynn Downs? And I don't think he is. And people rave about Callum Connolly, and I think he's a decent player. But is he better than what we've already got in that position in Flynn Downs? I just don't think he is. I know Cook says Downs can go if he can find another team.
Flynn won't be here. Definitely
Which is disappointing. Because he is a quality player. Form is temporary, class is permanent. And yeah, I don't know. What makes you say he's not going to be here?
Well, he didn't want to really be here last season, did he? He wanted a transfer out, but I think it was injury that put paid to that. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of his, to be honest. Yes, he's better than Callum Connolly because I don't know him, but but I don't know. His temperament is very up and down, isn't it? You're never quite sure with him whether he'll be a kick away from a red card. He does need to grow up a little bit. Oh,
he certainly does that, doesn't he, Peter?
Oh God, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's probably now that he's definitely better than Callum Connolly, but he's not had the best season. Whether it was the beginning of last season when he had sort of his head turned, whether it was a bit of by his agent around him possibly going to Crystal Palace, whether that's it. But then, as you said, he came back, he got the injury. He actually, for me, got himself injured. He lunged into that tackle. Even before that, I think he tried to fight someone. So, his temperament. Somebody's only got to say something about his mother, and he's trying to fill him in.
Yeah, no, that's right. Josh, hope there's some truth in Morsey. I think there's a lot of truth in Morsey. That'd be a real statement. Yeah, I could certainly see almost maybe with a swap deal, and a bit of Downs for Morsey. Why not? There's certainly a player in Downs. There's temperament. The devilment, as Lambert called it, but I don't know. I don't read as much into it as people do when they say he doesn't want to be here. I'd question any player wanting to be at a third tier team. I want players to be hungry to step up and go up and be ambitious because you hope they take you with them. I don't think Matt Holland would have been happy being Ipswich Town for 5-6 years longer, just making the playoffs. At some point, you want to go up and prove yourself, right? And you can't hold that against Flynn, particularly if Palace were coming in for him. Lee says Dezern Down's out the door. What does it say for the future of our academy players? Paul, I did hope we were aiming higher than Connolly, to be honest. I think Connolly is a cog in the wheel. He's not the engine that'll make it go. I'd love him at the football club. I just don't. He's not. Not going to set the heart racing, as Vicky would probably agree. Michael Finch, I see all these lower league players and championship players linked, but I'd like to see us look further afield than the UK. Yeah, Brexit rules might affect that, though. Not quite sure. Unless either you two know that. Obviously there's new Brexit laws in terms of foreign players coming in. Jason Clayton Lee. It just says they're not good enough. Then you look at the under 18s and 16s are even better. Don't worry. Talking about players that may or may not have been good enough. Luke Chambers has left the football club. Did you watch the video?
Hold it together, Vic. Hold it together.
Well, yeah. Did you watch the video last week that they put out?
Yes.
Right. Did you cry?
There was a tear there, definitely.
You got hay fever.
I was chopping onions. I think for me, one of the saddest things he said was how he'd been treated. This is somebody and it's divided our fan base, whether he was good or not, irrelevant. He stayed at the club for years and he was a good servant to that club. And I think if what he said was true and that Cook had a 3-minute conversation with him, resulting in him leaving, I think that's poor. I really do think that's bad. He deserved more.
How long did you say it was?
Was it about 3 minutes?
I think that's being generous. Coxie, how about yourself? Did you watch it? Did you cry?
I haven't watched it. I can't bring myself to watch it. I mean, he's
He's not dead.
It is to us at Ipswich now.
No,
Christ,
you can come
Coxie.
back anytime.
Can't bring yourself to watch it. Gee.
Which one you talking about? The one that's in the dressing room or the other one?
Yeah, the one with the dressing room. Yeah.
No, I had time to watch that one there.
What are your own? Because Lee Brown says Chambers great bloke, wish him well. Lee says, as Neil said, there's no way to do these things. Michael Finch, 3 minutes doesn't take long to say. Here's your P45.
But he deserved more than that.
Did he though?
It was maybe time for him to go, but he deserved a bit more respect for everything that he gave to the club.
Did he deserve a bit of R-E-S-P-E-C-T for how that word means, didn't he?
Yeah.
Bless him. Coxie, how do you think it's been handled?
Well, if it is true, if it was a generous 3 minutes, that is a bit disgraceful. How many years he's put in? He has been. As Tommy Smith said in your interview yesterday, he's been a player. It's not his fault. He's been, he's had however many years he's been at the club. Been the most crappiest time, under Evans, and it's just it's a shame.
The defence this season hasn't been the problem. When you look at our record of how many goals we've let in, it's been the strikers. So I don't understand where all the hate's come from, because he shouldn't have been blamed for half of what he was blamed for.
No, Callie, don't forget ITK in the know, Callie. When details come out about the meeting, you'll realise how ruthless PC is. John Warren, Cook isn't going to get drawn into a he said this, I said that. Stephen says he had a whole team. You can't give 3 minutes each. Yeah, but he is your captain,
Chambers.
Steve.
He's been there for absolutely years.
Yeah, too long. I'm writing in this week's Suffolk News column. I'm writing that as men, both him and Skews, I wish them nothing but the best. They've been model professionals, but they've been poster children or poster boys, if you like, for the Evans era, the era that had one highlight, and ultimately we will look back on and just. Do you think that's fair to say? I'll ask both of you. I'll start with Coxie. When you look back in, say, 10 years' time, that Chambers and Skews will be the image of the Marcus Evans era, and that is just not a nice era you want to remember.
Yeah, I don't think it's absolutely. I wouldn't say Skews would be the thing, but definitely if you used to ask most Town fans have a picture of a player which absolutely the picture that relates the Marcus Evans era, the Mick McCarthy era, then it's going to be Chamber every time you count. But it is. Football is part of life, and sometimes in life you have to move on. And we would. I think it'd be nice if he would have got a coaching role, coaching the youngsters. But the manager's there to make a decision. We want the whole mindset of the club to change. And if you still have memories of the past, you got to move them on.
Well,
I absolutely agree that it was time for him to move on, and that hurts saying that because I love Chambers and there's no getting away from that. But I just felt he should have had more respect. He was the captain. He didn't do a bad job in the last few seasons. It was the shit around him really that dragged him down.
Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, when we had Daryl Murphy and quality players, people worried less about Chambers. Yes, had Norwood played the whole season, I think you're right there, Vicky. I do. But
Murphy scored goals.
Exactly, yeah. And when you're scoring
Chambers
goals,
has scored more goals than Drinnan this season.
All three of us, Vicky, have scored more goals than bloody Drinnan. Come on.
You like mentioning the trigger word, don't you? All of you like saying that trigger word.
She said it, I didn't.
Rage intensifying.
But he did, and yet Chambers has gone, and Drinnan is still here.
I know. But we'll stick on Chambo. He is the face of the club, and the face of the club had to change, and you can't do it with him still here. As Ashley Bell rightly said, he was a good servant, but he made too many sly digs for Ashley's liking on his exit interview. Now, Coxie, you sit this one out, pal. You not watched it, part-time fan. Vicky, did he make too many sly digs for you on the way out?
There was a few digs, weren't there?
A few?
Yeah. I don't think there's any love lost between them, is there?
No.
For me,
I can guarantee there's not, yeah.
What worries me is, and I know it's slightly different because when Hurst came in, he took away our championship players and replaced them with League One players. And we hope that isn't going to be the case this season. But it is kind of the same thing in that we're just getting rid of everybody and then bringing in a new team, and it's going to take a while to gel together. It is a bit of a worry. It's exciting, don't get me wrong, but it is a worry. And I think some of the digs that Chambers had was probably right. Anyway.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of how it was handled. You can certainly pick that one up. Coxie, I'd watch it. Just watch for the intriguing subplots that come out.
I'm going to have to now, yeah.
Because there's so many different things, and you almost get the feeling, and I don't know this for sure, that it was filmed at the same time on the same day with Chambers and Skuse in the same dressing room, because there's occasional looks over in both interviews. And it's just, I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying that's the gospel, just something I've picked up watching it. And yeah, start watching like Coronation Street, Coxie. It's just like so many different, digs and slice, swipes with the hand. Dominic says later than who we've got a little bet going on between for Drinnan. We'll be unveiling that soon, me and Dominic. But oh god, Drinnan. Later down the I can't even say the word about laughing. Later down the line,
you brought the name up, though.
I know. No, I've completely thrown myself. Ashley, sorry, Dominic, we'll have to move on. Ashley Bell sounds like Cook's going to the opposite to Hurst and get rid of average League One players and get some championship ones in. Difference is though, difference is the bank balance, isn't it? These owners aren't messing around. Evans wanted to do everything sort of, on the hoof. Josh, it's completely different to Hurst. Cook knows what he's doing. Lee Bayliss, Drinnan and Hawkins need releasing too. They aren't our future, and I can't see anyone wanting to pay a fee for those two. Plenty of summer. We are only in May. Two more transfer towers. I'm not going to try and get too much information out of you on these two because I think they're probably more non-goers. So I'll ask you the question and then you can say yes for me or no, get in the bin. We've got transfer town number 1, Alex Hunt. Sheffield Wednesday. He's out of contract. They've got an option for a year. They've just been relegated. Alex Hunt Coxey on a free from Sheffield Wednesday. Would you take him?
Again, as with our friend, the big old unit, Sonny Brad, it's not a name that actually comes to mind straight away. So I don't know a lot about him. He is for free. And our midfield does need sorting out. That's needed sorting out for years. There's no balance there. Well, if he brings it to it, then fine. But like I said, it's not a name on in the forefront of my mind when I think of Sheffield Wednesday.
It is an interesting one because you have got you've got to bring players in for first team, but you've also got to stockpile a little bit because you haven't got much depth. Brett McGavin, Liam Gibbs are two, but Gibbs is, I would say, probably still a considerable distance away from where Cook wants the squad to be. McGavin, he's looked okay at times. You're losing Hughes. You've got Nolan coming back from injury. So there's still a couple of question marks there. So fair play. Another one, Vicky. Aldershot midfielder Jermaine Anderson. Only a young player is Jermaine Anderson. Town and Bolton are reported to be showing interest in the Aldershot midfielder. Would you take him on a free? He is 24 and he has made, get a bit more meat on that bone, he scored four goals in 25 starts and 3 sub appearances, previously with Arsenal.
I think we could probably do better. That's not a lot of goals, is it? More than Trinidad.
Not really, no. I'd want him. Would you not want him younger? But if you're saying, well, he's
you like him younger, Vicky? You said it.
I know. I've walked into it. I know. I was just thinking more of a potentially developing player.
Right.
If you were saying Aldershot 18, 19, 20, there's lots of room to grow. 24, 25, is there still that much more potential to get out of a player?
I think there's probably better targets out there, to be honest, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, at the minute, it's just all rumour, isn't it? Everybody that's released on a free we're being linked to, and we don't know what Cook's plan is. When he starts signing these players, then we'll know.
Absolutely.
We will know which way he's going.
Yeah. If I had to say, let's do a Talking Town sweepstake, and you had to say the day the first transfer would be announced, what would either of you say? What date would you chuck 20p down on?
Wednesday, the 19th of May.
Oh, I mean, he's gone Pacific. You've got a time there as well. You want to phone up your agent? You want to check in? 19th of May. Are you going before or after that then, Vicky?
I'll go after. I'll go 24th.
24th. We're getting close. I like it. Emerson says the 1st of June. Stephen says tomorrow.
It's got even closer than me.
I know. Neil says, did this clear out as well overdue? Chambers had to go. Lots and lots of very good championship talent along going for free this summer. Will pay high wages, not big fees, I suspect. Michael Molden and Tiptree have a player who won a corner in the first game. Let's buy him. Dave says 1st of June. Josh, I think we'll make one big marquee sign. Who realistically do we hope it is? Oh, I don't know. There's lots to say there, really. I'm going to drop in the chat now the link for the end of the show conversation. I say end of the show, a bit longer than that, but about June Majorton Day, the playoff semi-final thoughts. Before we get there, let's first go back to the Evans era. We have a semi-final to contend with. Michael Chopra versus Paul Taylor in the semi-final for worst transfer fee spent. Who takes this one for you, Vicky? Michael Chopra or Paul Taylor?
Taylor, I think, for me.
Yeah? Because both were quite mitigating disasters, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were both shit, let's face it.
Hang on. I've got the swear jar here. Swear jar here.
The chat is overwhelmingly flowing for Taylor. Coxie, are you going to try and bring us a little bit of a Michael Chopra something, or are you just going to go, nah, Taylor, all the way?
No, definitely Taylor. I mean, Michael Chopra, it's typical Ipswich Town artists. We all got excited. We all thought, oh, this is our 2025 gold man. It came to Ipswich and rediscovered the betting shop. So yeah, it's Taylor. Taylor was it was D-Max stitching us up again from Peterborough. Yeah. He's not stupid, that man. He got rid of him. Yeah.
Well, that was the transfer fee. So Paul Taylor goes through to our final. Who he faces remains to be seen. It's not a fun one to be part of. But we do also have our worst free or loan signing. Previously on this segment, we have had Sonko, Ivrinka Marson, Giles Cope, Jonathan Douglas. Who are you bringing to this party today, Coxie?
Tom Aniabi.
Tom
sure
Adeyemi.
Amy, yeah.
Ooh.
How many games did he play first? 2, and one of them was against Norwich.
Did he play a full 2? Jeez.
Well, he definitely played against Norwich. At home.
Wow. Yeah, I think I remember us signing him. I was quite excited when we signed him.
Really? I thought, oh God, why?
He did. I thought he'd done all right at Rotherham the year before. Played every game, I think, for Rotherham, and then.
No, well, that's Ipswich Town like this again, isn't it?
As Mike D just says, Adeyemi's back on the grass because that was a famous thing. Adeyemi was on the grass and it never would come out. Any thoughts on Adeyemi there, Vicky?
Yeah.
Just say he was
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Douglas, he was bad, wasn't he? I mean, he was really toilet. Yeah. But it's been a difficult one for me, this, because probably my age, I can't even remember what happened last week, let alone years ago. I've slept since then, and they're so unforgettable, or forgettable rather, that I can't remember them. So I'm going to go for Holy Guacamole, I'm afraid.
Thomas Holy?
Yes.
Holy guacamole.
That's a good shout. We've not had one as late in the Evans era timeline yet.
We're not thinking of the present players, are we? That's a good shout. Yeah.
I mean, in that case, they're all fucking in the bin. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a nice guy, and but he's just useless. He's just like a pole, isn't he? A big pole that doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he is. Luke Hume, no miracle to why he went from scoring goals at Brentford to scoring none here. That's in regards to Douglas. Well, do you remember the midfield of Skuse, Douglas, and Heim?
Good God, yeah.
Flipping everything. I've moved faster. Nathan King, no chance. He's not that bad. Luke Douglas was shit. A lot of conversation about Douglas going in the chat. Thomas Holy, good shout. I'll bring one. Kevin Lisby.
Yeah, I could never work that one out.
I actually liked Kevin Lisby, but when you look at it in terms of strikers at the football club, I've always been blessed in having fairly decent strikers till recently. He just never seemed to really fit anyone's plan. Magilton brought him in, and he never.
Did you not, Martin, ever remember before that when he played on loan at Norwich and he got Cito sent off?
Yes,
he'd done the full bloody Tom Daly dive, didn't he? Got his
He did.
Swine, yeah.
Yeah, he did. But
I don't usually bear a grudge, but I couldn't get over that one. That was
David Eaton's the same. Never liked Lisby. David Long, he definitely underperformed. Yeah, another player that came in full of promise and never delivered. Right. Jim Magilton Day. So, for those that maybe do not know, today, 17th of May in the year 2000, a bunch of men took the field and left heroes. A playoff semi-final against Bolton. Just a wonderful night. I've seen the videos back on the social media. I've watched it back. What are your memories of that night, Vicky? Although you might struggle to remember yesterday, so that night you can't.
I do remember that night. I wasn't there. Like I say, I don't come from Suffolk, so I was at home and I had small children at the time, so there was just nowhere that I could go. But I do remember watching it on TV, although a lot of it was behind a cushion, especially when Bolton scored. I was like that. Oh no!
I bet you were.
I spent a lot of it behind a cushion.
They just kept coming back, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just one of the best games that I've ever watched behind a cushion.
Yeah, Coxie.
Yeah, alas, I was relegated to watching it at home, and I went through every emotion going. That was, I at the time, my wife worked with one of our friends was a big Norwich fan, so she was winding it up and kept ringing every time Bolton scored. The phone rang twice, so I was like swearing at that. Yeah, and as you said, Bolton came every time Ipswich went ahead. Bolton came back, and they were trying trying to wind up the Ipswich players. If you see, I think one of the penalties they were trying to sort of put off. I think it was a Jim Magilton's one. They were trying to put him off and. Jamie Clapham as well. They tried everything, and I think in the end, did two of them get sent off?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the ref was definitely an Ipswich fan, wasn't he?
Yeah, very rarity. Yeah.
I don't know. You see, I watched that game back, and sadly I wasn't there. I was in year 6 at primary school. It was school
Oh,
night.
there we go.
Oh my God.
And my fault, my baby-faced assassin, and Mum wouldn't let me go. And I remember the next day in school, this guy comes, this boy in the year above comes in. So I must be in year 5. Sorry, I'm even younger. And he took out he brought in this glass was a big lump of turf, and he goes, "That's Pullman Road, that is." And I remember looking at it in real awe, like he had, like, you know, the hidden chapter of a Bible. Like it was like, oh, you got Pullman Road. That's the
Holy Grail.
Yeah. Oh my God. And it's just what a night. And when I watch back, referee was amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
So often the referee would have been bullied out of those right decisions, and they were right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one with Johnson, what on earth he's thinking? I don't know.
Bolton were very dirty, weren't they?
Very dirty.
Sam Allardyce was their manager, wasn't he? So that sums it up.
He was. Mike D, fuck off, Gov. Year 6 my ass. No, I was year 5. I was telling a lie. Stephen, what are your memories of that night?
I was working. This was semi-final. I was coming back from Wigan on train. I've just done my stint because I was a bingo manager at the time. And I was coming back from Wigan after working all day, and all I was getting was like notifications because it was one of these old Nokia 3210, I think they were. And I was sat there playing Snake and getting all these notifications about penalties and shit. And it was like every 5 seconds we're going down train, it's as if like there was another penalty coming through. I'm thinking, penalty shootout here or what? You know. And it was buzzing. I remember watching final because that's why I was working, because if we got to final, I wanted to have that day off. So I actually had that day off at final. So, but I don't know, it was weird, you know, because half my family come from Bolton. No, I come from Bolton.
Me.
I was born in Bolton. But,
No, never mind.
Well,
oh, hang on. The Lancashire and the Yorkshire is now going to kick off here.
I've got to be born somewhere. You know, at the end of the day, you know, half my family come from Bolton and half my family come from Ipswich. So I don't, you know, I had a toss up, and Bolton was shit when I was younger, so I didn't support them.
You made the right decision. What were they saying about the game? Because it's even to this day, it caused a big controversy.
I'll be totally honest. And this, you know, we had a good team. Theirs were better, without a shadow of a doubt. Bolton at that time was a phenomenal team. Just to beat them was an achievement. You know, they had the likes of Good Johnson. They had the likes of Warner. You know, these were not poor players. This was a damn good team. And yeah, they played dirty, but that was Sam Allardyce. He will do anything to win, and he doesn't give us. He's not ashamed to say he'll do whatever. You know, Klopp said that yesterday. He'll do whatever he has to do to win, whether it's pretty or not. He don't care. And that's the sort of manager that some teams need. You know, you've got a lot of these managers that say, "Oh, well, you've got to play the game fair." Alex, if you can win by being unfair, you do whatever it takes, because that's what you expect your players to do. You expect your managers to do exactly the same. And Bolton had that in Allardyce. He did whatever it took to win, and yeah, it cost him. But on another day, it might not have.
No,
or we might have lost that.
Yeah,
but it was a remarkable game, and it was like end-to-end stuff. And then all of a sudden, these sudden slew of penalties came through, and I thought, my God, what's going on here? Because all before, everybody kept looking around, not trained, kept looking at me. My phone kept going, bleep, bleep, bleep. Jesus Christ!
It was end to end. And you're right. We were, and Mike says
your phone kept going beep, beep, beep. Oh, that's a difference for you, Steve. Really?
Was that a portent back then? You know what I mean?
That's you know, some people have these ringtones that go around them everywhere they go. They're like almost like their life ringtone. Jim's just beep, beep, beep.
You know, this was the early days of mobile phones when a phone call cost you about 10 quid. You know what I mean? One of them little one of them top-up card things lasted you about 30 seconds. You know what I mean? So,
use an emergency.
You still never use them. Just use them. You're locked out.
Glory days of Nokia phones, Steve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike Brown.
You could drop them off a building and they still wouldn't break.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. You should charge them up once a week. Brilliant.
I've got one upstairs. Mike Brown, they tried to bully us and we stood up to them and they couldn't handle it. But the referee helped in that. And that's what I was saying earlier. You know,
Yeah.
too often a referee would
I honestly
fold.
think the referees wouldn't have given up. You know, they wouldn't have. They'd have folded now. The referees today don't have as much strength as what they did have. You know, and I think that's the dynamic, especially in the Premier League, where players are paid so much and referees are paid because they're so little. There's the dynamic of like, well, I can't send you off. You're a superstar. I'll get annihilated on Twitter. You know, and you could do it then. You couldn't do it now. If a referee sent off a player in a big game, yeah, he'd be annihilated on social media. You know, and what referee wants that? You know,
Oh, he's still annihilated now, Steve. To be fair to poor old Barry Knight, but
you know, they'll give the decision. They'll leave it to VAR and say, "What my fault."
The thing is, even by today's football standards, those challenges they're penalties. I mean, like, you know, even then they were penalties. It's just crazy how. I don't know if we get it right with Steve. As always, I love you, man.
Cheers, Steve.
Look after yourself, Colin.
Cheers, Steve.
He would have had to have been there, old Colin. Were you there, Colin?
Colin's there.
Yes, mate. Yeah. Hi, Coxie. How are you, Vicky?
Talk us
Hello,
through that
mate.
night.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Talk us through that night.
Good evening, Martin. How are you?
I'm very well, Colin. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're gonna. It's almost like, you know, story time with Colin Plum. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to tell us about that night.
Well, the first answer to your question is yes, I was there. I was there with. Yeah, I was there with my two boys who were 16 and 13 at the time. And funnily enough, I was talking to Rich about this earlier today. We was in the lower co-op that night, and right across the 18-yard box, North Stand End. And my God, I'll tell you people, like I said to Rich this morning, my memories of that game are like this. I would say that game was in the top 6 games, best games I've ever seen. Not just at Portman Road, but best 6 games. One of the best 6 games I've ever seen in my watching Ipswich Town. I said to Rich this morning, like I'll say to everybody tonight, how on earth, well, I have actually had one now 2 years ago, but how I didn't have a heart attack that night, I don't know. It was emotion that, apart from maybe the FA Cup final, when we scored, you know, and when we actually won the FA Cup, probably no emotion, not even when we won the UEFA Cup, because I think that was probably as near to tears as I've ever been, really, apart from the FA Cup final. It was raw emotion. But I'll tell you what I'd like to say about that game. Like I said this morning, Jim Magilton that night, okay, he wasn't the paciest of players, we all know that, but he had the first 2 yards in his head. He was a fantastic footballer, technically excellent. And I'll tell you what, there was times where Jim could kind of lose it, but that night he was on it. And it was arguably one of the best games I ever saw him play. And cool, and Jamie Clapham, when he took that penalty, coolness personified. I mean, under unbelievable pressure Jamie was that night when he took that penalty, and he was so cool, sent the goal kicker the wrong way. But Coxie was quite right, and yourself, Martin, about the tackles and the penalties. I mean, every decision that Knight had to make that night was 100% spot on. And that's not saying that because basically most of the decisions he was given are Ipswich. They were decisions. Yeah. Absolutely, Coxie. Yeah. They were decisions to be made. He made them correctly, and that was that. But no, absolutely unbelievable night. And I remember, like, when it started, you know, Dean Holdsworth, he was a bit like Nugent in a lot of ways against us.
Yeah.
He always used to seem to score against us.
He was a dose of thrush, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, not even Dean Holdsworth could stop us that night, you know. But I remember the emotions after the game. I mean, when all the supporters came on and they were all on top of Jim Magilton and people were kissing Matt Holland and God knows what, you know. It was just unbelievable that night, but a tremendous night.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if my friend in the Euro still got his lump of turf. And
I bet it was from his back garden, really.
Probably was. Probably was. I remember looking at it, just looking at it with such affection. It was amazing. Do you watch the clip back now, Colin, without getting a tear in your eye and goosebumps?
No. I watched that 10-minute clip this morning and it just got me again, you know. I think if you've got it here, you've always got it there, you know, and it doesn't matter how often or whatever you watch something. If something is going to get you, so to speak, it gets you. And to answer your question, Gov, yeah, that slice of our history always gets me, and that really does get the hairs up on the back of your neck, you know. I've got to say, but
it's like goosebumps, isn't it? Every
absolutely,
time.
Vicky, absolutely. And another thing I'd like to say about that night is about George Burley. I mean, George, he had all those years under Sir Bobby, and I'll tell you what, all of that came out with him that night, you know. I saw little clips of him this morning, like, you know, on that little clip, and he's in front of the dugout. George never really ever went, a bit like Allardyce, you know, he's shouting, mouthing off and that. George always kept it, you know, the old lid on quite well, even under that pressure. And I think that was a lot to do with the fact he worked for so long as a player and whatever you're under Sir Bobby, because he was a great manager, you know, George. I still rue that day that they got rid of him. I don't think they should ever have sacked George. You know, he was a fantastic manager for us. A great coach.
Always had a soft spot for him.
Oh, absolutely. Great coach.
Disagree. It's a good night. We won't ruin it. That's all I'm going to say on that, Mark. Lee, he had to go. Lee Bayliss, to be honest, they were lucky to only have 2 sent off. They argued and surrounded him. Michael Finch, all the people who have inch turf, it's your fault those green shoots never grow. Because we've got James B here saying, I plucked some grass that night and grew it in a pot. Colin, you're a seasoned football fan. You know your stuff. What do you put down the Bolton mentality to that night? Because they were, was it what made them go absolutely berserk? They were wild like animals.
I can't really put my finger on that, really. I think it was a lot obviously to do with Sam Allardyce. He's that kind of manager, whether you like it or not. He is. We all know that. I would presume after the great 2-2 draw at the Reebok, where Marcus got those 2 marvellous goals, I'd have thought he probably said to the players after that game, right, we're going down Portman Road. It's going to be difficult in front of a full house. I can imagine what Allardyce said. We'll do everything. Well, every little trick in the book, we'll pull it out, and little niggle here, little niggle there, you know, and to be honest, for the first quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, it kind of worked. But like one person put in the chat earlier on, it worked to a point. They tried to bully us, but we wasn't going to be done that night. And with the likes of Matt and Jim and Mowbray, we had leaders all over the pitch in that team. And even people like Scully, and people like that, they were like, Scully was a local lad and he was never ever going to get beaten, although he went off injured. Players like him, they were never going to get beat in that game. And whatever they tried didn't work, Guv. Just didn't work. And, it's like the bully in the playground, isn't it? The bully, but he kind of didn't get away with it, kind of thing,
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Okay. Michael Finch, Stuart's first got the Reeboks, couldn't be more of a postage stamp. Mike D. Wayne Brown was great that night. Emerson Ferrer, seeing the fans back in stands giving me itchy feet. Can't wait to get back. Yeah, I know the season ticket guys at the ticket office were very busy today. But yeah, they are back on sale. So if you do want to, I don't know if they're, I'm not sure why. I'm going to sound really stupid here, but I'm not sure why they were busy today. Because I thought if you were just auto-renewing. Coxie, have you got a ticket?
I have, yes. Mine's auto-renews, so...
Yeah,
I
same
should have to
here.
ring them, yeah.
We're lazy, aren't we, Coxie, me and you? Look, we just have to sit back, feet up.
Absolutely,
Get a beer on the go. Right, we're done. 56 minutes in the book on a Monday without any football. It's been a real pleasure talking to you all. Any final thoughts as we head off? We're back Thursday, 8:30. Hopefully going to be joined by Football for Brains 21. It's a football quiz book supporting dementia with a donation from each sale. We'll have transfer rumours based on Vicky and Coxie. We will have an actual transfer to discuss. Oh, there you go. Emma's Feather. They're now available to those who didn't renew this season. There we go.
Right.
Any final thoughts, Vicky?
No, just looking forward to what's coming up. And we'll see where we go from there.
Perfect. Well, for those watching, you can support us on Ko-Fi. Colin, Coxie, Vicky, I love you all. Thank you all so much. But until Thursday or before, if there's a transfer siren, we'll see you then.